I was gone 3 to 4 times a month. I was either preparing for a trip, on a trip, or recovering from a trip. And I felt like I was doing so great at work, but I wasn't showing up at home. Just never giving up. And even sometimes when you do want to give up, and I feel that way a lot. But it's having a strong support system around you, whether it's your family, your coaching program, therapist, a group, a pastor, maybe. Having those people help remind you who you are, even sometimes when you forget, because sometimes I forget to. But at the end of the day, like, I don't want to be known as a President's Club member, a top performing AA in my gravestone. I want to be known as a great father, a great husband, a great friend. Getting President's Club and got the trip to Hawaii, and it was all great. And then I look back and I realized, well, you know what? My marriage was struggling. I wasn't being a great dad. I had some addictions I was dealing with, and like all this sales success didn't cure one piece of it.
I know you've been producing pretty high, but like I'm taking inspiration from you in terms of your involvement with your kids and how focused you are on them, and how do you maintain that deep family first mindset with so much pressure, with the new job, with being the top performer. I am thrilled to introduce today a good friend. He has become a friend, and as of yesterday, he just renewed his 4th year. So let's welcome. He is an OG, has been with us since the beginning, and now is entering his 4th year. So if you guys think coaching is one and done, you are wrong. And Matty, I'm going to tee you up in a bit, but just for context, Matty's in 3 programs, you guys. This is not just his only program. He's in a real estate mastermind, and he's in a brotherhood with me called Ignite the King, where it's a men's group and we do a lot of men's healing work. So it's not like, oh, I'm good in sales. It's, oh, I'm good in sales. Oh shit, there's other things that I need to be good at too. That's how the journey of personal development works. So Matty, I don't know if you want to talk to that at all, but I thought that was pretty awesome that you renewed, even though you have 2 other masterminds going.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a journey. We can learn the tools, but it takes a community and commitment to put them into practice every single day. And you talk about showing up for yourself and for your clients every single day. I think you've been a great example of showing up in service for others and just trying to just trying to keep up with you, my friend.
I try, brother. I do my best, and it is every day. Like I said, every day you got to reset and you got to recommit and reconnect with your why, because it will waver even as you achieve success. It's not always what you think it'll bring. So I want to introduce you a little bit. This format, for anyone who's new, is it's for you guys. This is a member spotlight. So we're going to take someone who's been in the program. We're going to talk about their transformation, where they were when they started, where they are now, how they got there, what results they've achieved. And I'll just tee up Matty. So since we've been working together the past 3 years, he was President's Club winner, top performer in his team at business unit in 2022, then won President's Club again in 2023. His average deal size has been 350K. Now it's up to 500K. So he's continued to grow it. He closed the largest deal in the history of the last company. And this year he bet on himself, took the leap, even though he was in a comfortable job making a lot of money. He decided to bet on himself, change jobs, which was a very tough decision because he was, providing for his family and very much the leader at his last company, because he knew he was done growing there and wanted to go and pursue even greater opportunities. And so what I want to highlight, not just is his success, he knows how to sell at the executive level, but also, Matty, if you don't mind me saying so, you've had a lot of doubts along the way. You've always kind of questioned yourself and haven't really seen yourself as the leader or the top seller that you are. And I think believing in yourself and starting to really start to believe in yourself and own like your greatness and, bet on yourself. That's been the work. That has been the work. And you've had so many moments of self-doubt. And I think that's going to resonate a lot of people. So I just want to open it up to you and just share your story a little bit with the group, where you were when you came in, where you are now, what you've changed, kind of like what you still maybe are dealing with. And then we'll open it up to the group. And this is your guys' chance to ask questions of Matty and get coaching from him as a peer in sales. And if you hear anything that resonates or really lands, just write it down. This is very much open book. So just, feel free to open up and get the support you need from your brother, Matty. So I'll take it away, my man.
Cool. Thank you, Ian, for the opportunity, and thank you everyone for showing up today. I know how busy your schedules are, so appreciate you spending a few minutes with me here. I put some notes together, so I'll just walk through those first, and then would love to just have a conversation with the group. So, my name is Matthew Pauls. Everyone calls me Matty or Matty P. I'm a strategic account executive at Wheelhouse. Wheelhouse is a dynamic pricing and revenue management tool in the hospitality industry. We focus on short-term rentals and hotels, and a new vertical that I'm actually helping to start. We work with professional operators. They're anywhere from like 5,000 to 10,000 plus properties. So enterprise level companies in the hospitality space. Been a part of the program since the beginning. Ian and I actually met when he was teaching the pavilion course.
Mm.
So I took his pavilion course. Ian said that he was going to start doing coaching, and we kind of hit it off. We started from there. I was at one of the first masterminds, Hermosa Beach, actually. I remember.
That was classic, man. That was a lot of fun.
That was a great one. And for me, you hit on it, but I got some great sales skills, but this is really my intro to personal development. And as Ian's mentioned, I've really jumped in head first with the personal development, doing the Ignite Brotherhood, running a marathon, just really diving into my kids' lives. I'm much more active in my kids' lives today than I was before. But I want to talk a little bit about my background. I didn't have probably not the most traditional background with the people in this group, but I started out working on Wall Street in the early 2000s. I moved into commercial real estate in Philadelphia in 2006, 2007. I was on pace to make $3 or $4 million as a 25-year-old, and the financial crisis hit. It completely humbled me, and I had to go in a different direction. I actually moved to Colorado to take a gap year that I was never allowed to take previously. And I met my wife, and she got me into wine. So I actually pivoted and became a sommelier. So if I was a sommelier for 10 years before I even got into tech, and I've been in tech for the last 7 years now. So I say that to let you know not every career path is a straight line. I've had to reinvent myself multiple times, and I think that's one of my strengths that I've been able to do. But I transitioned into hospitality tech. I've been there for 7 years. I've worked for e-commerce company and digital marketing company, an enterprise property management software company. And most recently, like Ian said, I took a bet on myself to join a startup. Wheelhouse is a Series A startup. We have less than 30 employees. And I went from a very structured kind of enterprise role where this is your territory, this is your unit count, this is who you work with, to kind of a much more Wild West scenario, which I'm in today, which I don't think I could have done that a handful of years ago. Just, gaining confidence from this program, working with Ian has really allowed me to bet on myself. And I've now become a trusted advisor in my industry. I get on calls with people, and half the time I end up talking about products other than what I actually sell. I've just learned so much about the companies in my space and have been able to impart a lot of wisdom onto my prospects. And I think that's one of the big transformations I made. I went from inward focus to outward focus. How can I help people? How can I serve? So before joining the program, I was closing. I was a transactional seller. I was closing $10,000 to $50,000 deals. All I cared about was quota. I cared about my clients, and I wasn't, pulling the wool over their eyes, but I just wanted to get the sale, and I just wanted to get the sale and move on.
Mhm.
I had a lot of imposter syndrome. I still do. I still struggle with self-worth and self-doubt. It's a constant battle, but I've learned the tools to kind of believe in myself, and I have people in my corner like Ian that constantly remind me of who I am and what I can accomplish. I think one of the biggest changes I made was just getting comfortable with executives. I learned that, they're individuals just like us. They could be going through a divorce or depression. They could have kids that had a bad day at school that's taken them off their routine. And just kind of, since I just realized that they're people just like us, I've gained so much confidence in jumping into executive selling roles. I used to deal with managers and mid-level directors, wasted a lot of time and got no's, 3 or 4 months into a sales cycle. Now I go straight to the top. If I don't have executive sponsorship, I don't work the deal.
I
So
want to
big,
pause there for a minute. Hold
yeah,
where you are in your notes.
yeah,
That that's it. That's like half my coaching sessions with sales coaching. That's half of Mike's deal rooms. Like, where's the executive sponsorship? It's not if it's not important to an executive, it's not going to happen. So you could spend 3 or 4 months and then they try and sell it, and the exec said, this actually isn't a priority. I don't want my team, my time, and my investment on this. So save yourself the time and figure out if it's a priority and who's sponsoring it and talk to them first. You said you shifted from inward to outward. Can you just talk about like these executive conversations? Because I think that is your superpower, is this ability to connect in a very authentic and real and kind of genuine in service of your customers. Talk about kind of what that feels like, or you know, in a day-to-day like conversation with a COO, or an executive that you're selling to.
Yeah, I mean, so you know I wear my heart on my sleeve. I am very open and honest with executives. If we can't help them, I let them know. And then also what I talked about before, just realizing that knowing that there's more than the product, right? So in my space, there's been a lot of private equity that has come into the space. A lot of my prospects are thinking about selling their businesses. So, the product I offer and the service I give, sometimes, they may not need that now and they may not want this expense going into selling their business. They're trying to keep costs low. So really finding the reason behind the reason and kind of digging in and just kind of leveling with these people and kind of, calling a spade, saying, it doesn't seem like you're into this. This may not be a priority, or it seems like something else is going on here. I've often like, in my previous role, I did a lot of travel. I was on 60, 70 flights a year, meeting people in person. And I found that's when you really get to connect, going out to dinner, asking people about their kids, kind of putting business aside and getting to know them as a person. And I found like when you do that, like the sales and the software and the rest of it comes pretty easy.
I feel like what you're describing is like not making it about you.
Yeah, yeah, and some of my work childhood wounds is kind of grown up in a narcissistic family. Everything's about you. Everything is focusing on what, your problems are.
Mhm.
And some of the transformation I made both in this group and Ignite is kind of getting through those wounds and realizing that everyone has a lot of stuff going on and serving other people. I think you're a tremendous leader in terms of service and making it about others and not about yourself. And like that made immediate changes in my conversations with executives. It was like night and day when I made that switch.
It's so important. And it's like to do that, you kind of have to be good with yourself. I think that's why we do so much work on ourselves first,
Yeah.
because until you're good with you, and until you know your worth and you're connected to like a vision of service, of like service maybe to your family, service to your future self, service to your faith, service to, something greater, um, then it's all about self. And to sell really effectively, you have to actually let go of self, um, and to be good. You just kind of have to be good with who you are. I'm good. Whether or not you do business with me, like it doesn't matter. I mean, Matty, we had this conversation 2 days ago. Literally, I was talking to Matty about his renewal, and it was like, you know, it was like, what do you need, to make it a no-brainer and to feel confident? Because he was in 3 programs, and it was really about making, and it was like the masterminds, and we talked about it, and
Yeah.
that was like, good, come to a mastermind. So, fundamentally, we're gonna do the thing that helps people get what they want, especially with negotiation, especially with resources. You got to have these real heart-to-heart conversations, and it's very hard to do that when you're trying to sell. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to it, but it's almost like this thing where you have to be totally good, even if you're not good. Like with customers, you just have to not even think about you and know that you're going to be okay no matter what, to really put the focus on them. And it does require knowing your worth. So I want you to like touch on
Well,
that, because I do feel like that's the work you've done, is like you've always been a good dude, but like to really let go of like neediness has been a huge
yeah.
unlock for you.
Well, yeah, I think I'd like to touch on upon imposter syndrome. It's something I've suffered with my whole life. What I came to realize that it's a good thing. It means you're putting yourself in rooms and bigger conversations. I've never had a problem kind of like being the beginner in the room, putting myself, even with wine, I worked really quickly to get myself into places where I maybe didn't belong and maybe got there sooner than I thought I should have. So once I realized that a touch of imposter syndrome means that you're reaching and you're pushing, then I became okay with it. I realized that, this is just a phase. I'm doubting myself because I'm putting myself out there. I'm reaching for greatness and not settling for the status quo. And like, honestly, even in this new role, I went from a generalist where I was, an inch deep, a mile wide throughout my space. And now I have to be an expert in this one particular facet of hospitality. And there's been some imposter syndrome along the road, going from a product I really knew to a product that is really complex and it's taken me a long time to learn.
Mhm.
But you just got to keep going. You just got to dig in and realize that it's part of the journey.
Mm.
And it took me a long time to get there, and it's still daily work for me,
The
but
work doesn't
reminding me who
stop,
I
dude.
am.
The work doesn't stop. It's the more successful you are, I think the more doubts you have. I don't know why.
Yeah,
It's like this, this constant questioning, and I think that's what makes you successful is you're never necessarily content with where you are, and you're always wanting, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time.
yeah. And something you said to me very early on is remember who you are.
Mhm.
Remember who the F you are. And I don't have any tattoos, but if I got one, that's probably what I'd get. Remember who you are. I've written it in my gym in the morning and just not forgetting everything I've
Who are you?
accomplished.
Who are you? When you say remember who you are, who do you have to remember?
I, I'm I'm a leader. I am a good, strong person. I'm a leader of my family. I'm a leader of my company, and I'm a leader of myself. I'm a person who just, doesn't accept the status quo, and I don't give up. I don't accept. I don't accept status quo. I'm just always reaching for more. I think that's part of the problem too. I'm never satisfied with what I get. I hit quota and then I wanted to be number one on my team and I got that. And I'm like, what's next? I want to be number one in my industry. But I am, I'm a strong, confident person. And, more than anything, I lead my family and I lead my children.
Yes, you do. Anything you want to say about that? Because I know you've been producing pretty high, but like I'm taking inspiration from you in terms of your involvement with your kids and how focused you are on them. And,
Yeah.
that's inspiring for me. How do you maintain that deep family first mindset with so much pressure, with the new job, with being the top performer?
So I've got a 10-year-old daughter and I have an 8-year-old son. And for the last 4 years with my company I was working at, I was gone 3 to 4 times a month. I was either preparing for a trip, on a trip, or recovering from a trip. And I felt like I was doing so great at work, but I wasn't showing up at home. So I made this change to this new company. I'm working remote a lot more, and I have so much more flexibility. I'm volunteering at school once a week. I go in and supervise recess and play football with the third grade boys. I've been to all my daughter's plays. My wife works for Habitat for Humanity, and I started volunteering with them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, my newest role is working with a company in my valley called Speak Up, Reach Out. It's a suicide prevention
Wow.
group. Suicide, for men especially, is a big problem. For whatever reason, in mountain towns, it's especially prevalent. It might have to do with the altitude or the life we live in mountain towns. I live in Vail, Colorado. That's my newest venture I'm going into, and I kind of realized that, like, listen, work is work. Work is a vehicle it's great to make money in tech sales and it provides us a lot of things. But at the end of the day, like, I don't want to be known as a President's Club member, a top performing AA in my gravestone. I want to be known as a great father, a great husband, great friend. And this new role has allowed me to do that. So that's where I'm really, really diving in. And Ian, you've been a great mentor in terms of work, but I think I've been able to kind of impart some things onto you about, spending more
Mm-hmm.
time with our kids and like the clients are going to be there. I think like we had a conversation in our last immersion and you stopped working an hour early, and I'm sure that hurts some of the people in your program, but like it's made you so more connected with your son, and I've seen that growth. So it's
Yeah, it's I get emotional thinking about it because like I hear you talking about volunteering and suicide prevention and your values, you're living your values. And my values are family, but my work is demanding and a lot of times I feel depleted at the end of the day. And I have a special needs child and it's so just yesterday got diagnosed with a learning disability and apraxia and we had our open house and he was noticeably behind everybody and it's painful to think you're not doing all you can. So I have to continue to make adjustments to be able to be more involved, more supportive, more, and that's what God is calling me to do right now. So I take a lot of inspiration from you, and the way that you have never, compromised on that, being able to volunteer and be involved and do sports and come in. That's something I haven't done, right? I've been certainly done my best, but I think we could all learn and grow from each other. And I do seek a lot of inspiration from the way you're living your life. I want to open up to the group in a minute, but is there anything else? I know you put some notes together. Is there anything else you want to share about your journey that I think that's pertinent to the group, that, helped you or that you've learned from up to this point?
There's so much, but I think we've touched upon that like the work is never done. I realized this like in my job, like, you hit quota and then it starts over again. You can never take your foot off the pedal. You got to keep going. And I'm a big guy. I'm not a fast runner, but I'm doing this marathon. And someone asked me what my pace was, and I said forward. My pace is forward.
Yes.
I just got to keep going. So I've been able to take that from, sales to
Yeah. It's gnarly. We're in this group together, and this men's group is definitely it's definitely intense. And Matty got injured. He's like, yeah, I'm kind of done with I'm kind of done with the marathon training because I had an injury and I poked the bear a little bit. I said this is part of the process. Usually you have a setback during training and do you want to push forward? And I remember that was kind of that was a pivotal point. Do you want to share like what changed in your mindset to decide to retrain even though you had just been injured? Because I mean that's pretty inspiring, and I think that was a turning point for you, at least in this season.
Yeah, well, I mean, you definitely called me out and I felt it pretty good. I think it's not about what pace I'm gonna run, what time I'm gonna finish. It's just about finishing. And my inspiration right now is for my son, just being in shape for him and being the best version of myself. Kind of joke in our group, I say, your daughter will lead you, but your son, you really have to lead him. And that's like the biggest part of my work right now. He was recently, well, he was recently diagnosed for ADHD, and it's not something that I suffer from, but I see how he's suffering. We just got him into a therapist at 8 years old. I didn't get into therapy till almost 40, so I'm jealous that he's got a 30-year head start on me working on himself. And I just he was like almost embarrassed that he had to go do this. And I was like, listen, buddy, like I do this. Your mom does this. This is something we do, and we make better versions of ourselves. So yeah, I just never giving up. And even sometimes when you do want to give up, and I feel that way a lot, I do. But it's having a strong support system around you, whether it's your family, your coaching program, therapist, a group, a pastor, maybe having those people help remind you who you are, even sometimes when you forget, because sometimes I forget to.
Amen to that, man. We're all doing our best. I think what you see on the outside, the president's clubs, the volunteering. I know, Maddie, you question yourself. I know you have moments of doubts.
I still do.
I do too. And the important thing is to have support and to have community and to have people that you can be real with, be vulnerable with, and that believe in you and that help lift you up in those
And
in
and
those.
I'll be 100% honest with you. I questioned myself coming onto the spotlight. I was like, do people want to hear my story? I mean, people are closing $10 million enterprise deals for publicly traded companies. Do they want to hear about me? And you helped me realize that yeah, people do. Not everyone takes the same path, and we can all learn from each other.
I think just believing yourself to come here and say, look, this is my story, this is my journey, this is what I'm doing. I think you have a lot to be proud of. A lot, man. You're a winner.
I
You're
do.
running a marathon, you're with your kids, you're helping your son get therapy, you're top performer multiple years in a row again, and here you are doubting yourself. I think
Yeah.
that's what I want everyone to know is like this journey of life, man. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard to be a parent. It's hard to be a partner. It's hard to be in sales. It's hard to be living here, with craziness all the time. And I think we're all doing our best, and that's the grace that we need to give ourselves to be able to go serve other people, right? Versus the shame of what's wrong with me, I'm not good enough, which prevents you from really being in service and focusing on others, which is where the magic happens. So let's open it up to the group. I want to just, if you could just hit the react button, raise your hand. I would love to just have Matty share where you guys are at and help you with whatever you're going through. Let's maximize this time, guys. These are fun calls. Michelle, you can go first.
Okay, cool. I have two questions, and they're quite different, but I was just curious. I think it's so awesome that you keep your family at the heart of everything that you do. And thinking of the success that you had, I'm like, oh, wow, like there's just no excuse for anybody else if you're able to get the results, but you're still able to volunteer. Like it's just so reassuring that you can have both. And I'm just curious, not necessarily in the family factor, but has spirituality played a role in your life? And the reason I'm asking is because it doesn't in mine right now, but I do notice in a lot of top performers that it does play a large role in their life. And so I was just curious if you're comfortable sharing if that has been part of your path at all. And then I have a more like tactical sales question after.
Yeah, so the short answer is yes. I'm a very spiritual person. I haven't been very religious. I grew up going to church, and I haven't done that much in the last few decades, to be honest with you. And joining this Ignite group, we talk about spirituality, believing in yourself and believing in a higher power. And I've been searching for this. I actually just went to church last weekend with one of our members for the first time in like 20 years. I was visiting him in Phoenix, and he said, "Do you want to go to church?" I was like, "Yeah, actually, I do." And I don't know what that journey looks like for me. My daughter, she's in theater and loves singing and has mentioned like wanting to go to church. So I'm in the process of like trying to find a church that we can go to and share together.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know, I can't say I'm Catholic or Presbyterian or an exact religion, but I'm trying to figure that out. I've always believed in a higher power for sure, though.
Interesting. Thank you for
Michelle,
sharing. I was
Yeah.
Michelle, I
just
want to
curious.
I want to add to this for a minute. Like, there's a lot of different spiritual practices, and I mean, I tell Tanvir he's Muslim, I'm Christian. There's Jewish people I coach. I have a Hindu. Um, there's not like one answer on this, but I think this is my belief that you have to believe in something greater than yourself. You have to believe that there's some reason for your being, a greater reason other than just to be successful. And when you think about a moral compass, something guiding you towards love, towards service, towards connection, like there's a deeper part of us. In Christianity, it's Holy Spirit, but that accessing that inner self, IFS therapy, they call it the self in internal family systems. But there's this part of you where spaciousness, where compassion, where curiosity, where love, where kindness lives. And that is accessed typically through some type of spiritual practice. Whether it could be church, whether it could be meditation, if you're going on, if you're Buddhist or you're a monk. I mean, it's a universal language, and I'm not here to say one is right and one is wrong, but in my experience, having and believing that you're here for a reason, that God or the universe or whatever you believe, there is a greater purpose for your life and everything is happening for you is such a relief. And it's so easy to surrender to whatever's happening when you have that faith. And I think it is something that top performers, it guides them to where they're going and they have that trust of something greater. So if you don't have that for anyone, I'd encourage you to explore it because that's where the ultimate power comes from. And it's not about religion per se. Even if I happen to connect with Christianity and believe in Christ, it's more about your higher power. And that's something I learned in recovery. And so I just I would encourage you to explore and to connect and have spaciousness for that because it's very powerful. And that's why you see it with a lot of the really high performers. What was your second question? And then we'll keep going.
This one I think will be a bit quicker, but the thanks for sharing that, both of you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. The executive engagement piece like really resonates with me. This is something I struggle with today, and I've been trying to actively work on it this year. Where if I don't have an executive at the table sponsoring it, like I've seen example after example after example of closed lost deals because of that. So it's like I don't need any further proof. What I struggle with sometimes is it's like when I started to try to like shut that down internally, like telling my manager, this isn't a real deal. Here's why I've had asked for access to power. They won't give it to me. They're too junior to get anything done. I know this based on all the deals I've done. I need a CFO like to oversee this and at least be aware and bought in that yes, they have budget aside for this. And I actually get my manager pushing back on me to like, no, it is a real deal. You're just not there yet. Keep going with this person, and they'll bring in other things. You just need to build a champion out of them. And I've, kind of pushed back. Like if we've had two or three calls with this person and they're not bringing other people in, they're not a champion. They're just like blocking us at this point. Let's
Sure.
just take it out of pipeline and I'll actively try to engage the executives. Can you just walk me through logistically, like how you were able to like just maybe be a bit firmer? I don't know what my gap is right now, but something I'm doing is obviously not working. I'm just curious how you've had success with it.
Well, I think dealing with your sales manager could be a whole separate module in this course. It's something Ian and I are going to be coaching on that next week in my current role. So I'm still going through those same challenges right now. Have you tried anything like trying to connect your executives with their executives? Something I learned in the program was like ghostwriting emails and getting my executive to reach out, my CFO or CEO, to literally call the executive, and they're having much different conversations than we are at the director and managerial level. So executives are busy. They write really short, bullet pointed emails. They don't need all the fluff. They don't need AI generated stuff. So that's one thing I started doing, when I build enough credibility within my company, asking my executives to help me prospect. And they actually really like that. They really like getting involved because they're dragged down with so much of the day-to-day business stuff. They started out as salespeople themselves. So once I was able to kind of like light that fire back in my CEO, that's how I was able to get a lot of really, really good meetings. And then it built me credibility on the other side as well.
Super helpful and haven't tried that like that early on. So thanks for that.
Yeah. And then just, Ian can help you with this, but just being firm with your manager, it's easier said than done. And it's easier when you have some numbers and some credibility on the board. But you know the clients, you know the prospects. I still have the same thing. We're like, no, no, this is not a deal, and they want you to push. So I think that's always going to be a never-ending battle dealing with our sales managers.
Hmm. Love it. Let's move on to Luis. What's up, buddy?
How are you guys? It's not a question. I just want to tell you, Matty, like you coming on today, I could feel it in my core and everything you talked about, your journey. I'm on the same path right now. And Ian could attest to this. I don't even think we've talked sales over the 2 or 3 sessions we've had. Um, and spirituality, it was the same thing. I went to church when I was younger, but I felt this void. And like once I like opened up and accepted it and took Ian's advice, like I feel like things have changed and now I can actually start focusing on sales. So and being the top performer that I know I am. So thank you for coming on. And yes, we all wanted to hear your story because as Ian said, every path is different. And for me, this hit home. And I tell Ian this every time we talk to him. Every call always meets me exactly where I am in that moment. And it's like what I needed to get to the next week and to the weekend. So thank you. And I look forward to, continue to track your journey.
Mm.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. We have the saying in Ignite that the weaver weaves. Things happen in the background, and when you start taking the right actions, you'll see it happen in other parts of your life. And thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
Luis, can you just elaborate a little bit on filling the void? What did you mean by that, just for the group? Because I think there's a lot of power in those words, filling the void.
Yeah, I mean, I just when I first got with Ian, it was just like I know that I have a higher purpose. Like I've done well in sales, but sales isn't filling that void for me. Winning isn't filling the void. And so there's something deeper that I need to tap into. And if I'm going to be outwardly focused to my customers, I got to start with me and my family and like a community. And so literally in the last 3 weeks, started coaching with Ian. He got me on the Word, this app, and I listen to it every morning after I listen to a mission statement. It actually like grounds me and centers me for the day. And I won't take up too much time, but I went to a golf tournament that was a charity because I'm trying to figure out a way to give back for special needs families that like severely autistic, where they take their kids and people like us help fill the time to give the parents a break. And I've gotten deep in that, and I'm going on Tuesday. I'm going to take a tour, and I'm going to give back my time to that. And then with church, like that's kind of on the peripheral. It's right there. I know I just need to do it. So
Mhm.
all of this is like, and I can see the visions. I'm like, it sounds corny, but I see butterflies, and like that's a good sign. That means you're on the right spiritual track. So a lot of, for me, what you talked about isn't sales related. It's all me related. And once I can work on me and get me to a position, I know I'm gonna do really, really great things.
I love it, man, and you're doing the work.
Thanks
Um,
for sharing. I
and
can give two quick anecdotes to that too. So in the men's group, we do some kind of visualizations and spiritual work, and I actually connected to my grandfather, my 95-year-old grandfather, who's a big influence in my life. His name is Linwood, and I went to our immersion in Austin, Texas, and then I immediately went to Nashville for my company's conference. But I just had this calling to go see my grandfather, so I left the conference early to surprise him on his 95th birthday. And I went to bless him, and he ended up blessing me and telling me how proud of me he was. And then he died like 45 days later. So had I have not done that, had I not gotten that calling, I wouldn't have that blessing, which for me was just incredible. And then at this last men's immersion, we have a big dinner on Saturday night. Some people cook, some people help prepare things, and our leader asked if I could serve the wine. So I jumped right back into my sommelier skills. It kind of felt like I never left. I just really enjoyed it. And I said to the group, like, man, like I really want to get back into this. And then a week later, my son and I went to play golf. We ended up getting paired up with a gentleman who runs the beverage program for Vail Resorts, and he asked me if I wanted to be a part-time sommelier this winter, 1 day a week, and come in and work at the restaurant. Not only will I make good money and have a lot of fun, my ski passes are going to get paid for. My son's ski school is going to get paid for. It's just like you can't make this stuff up.
yeah,
So I love your story. Keep digging in with the charity stuff.
That's great. And shameless plug. If you don't have The Gap in the Gain on audio book right now, I recommend you do it. I
What's
sent
it
you a
called?
text this week, and like it's game changing. Like
Mhm.
everything I look at now, it's like, am I in the gap or am I in the gain? And if I'm
Gap
mad
in
about something, it's because I'm in the gap and
It's
I'm measuring
called The Gap in
myself.
the Game by Benjamin Hardy and Dan
It's
Sullivan.
get it on audio because the way they talk through it is like it hits more.
Yeah,
Just read.
it is manifestation. It's absolutely. And again, this concept of spirituality, I want to distinguish from religion, right? This belief in something greater and that the universe and God is going to help you get what you want when you put it out there, when you connect, when you really feel it. It's real. It's happened over and over and over again. And I think it's really important. I really do, because you'll see the signs, you'll see the serendipities, you'll see these things happening like Maddie's describing. And it's like, yes, I'm on the right path. So I've just learned to get out of my own way and listen for the signs and connect spiritually. And that's been guiding me literally for the past 5.5 years. So I just cannot emphasize how that filling the void, how important it is. And sales success will not fill it, I promise you. And it's not about right or wrong religion. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about religion, and that can damage people's perception. It's about belief in something greater, and that gives a sense of self-compassion and self-love, and everything's going to be okay. And there's just so much comfort in knowing that there's that something's looking after you that's bigger. And so I think it's a big part of the program, even if it's not necessarily the curriculum. It's what unites a lot of people, is that we do believe. So I'm glad that's happening for you, Luis. I'm glad it's happening for you, Maddie, and it's not a coincidence. It's not. You can't just have these coincidences all the time. Sheena, let's take you, Lily, and then Andy. This is why I love these member spotlights. It's like real, raw, unfiltered.
You'll
Yeah.
always get the role with me. I can promise you that.
Yes, we will.
My question was literally going down the line that Luis sort of started, which was, I feel like Maddie, you're so intentional. Like that's the way I would describe, obviously on the sales side, and then but then in your life as well, right? Like what you were saying about your dad and your grandfather and your children, and the way you're intentional with your relationships, I think was really inspiring, honestly, for me. One thing that I think for a lot of us are pretty early on that journey, Matt. Like for me, Maddie, I'm early in my sales and personal development journey. And so it's very inward focused right now. Like it's really about getting myself to a point where I can then maybe start influencing others, not actively, but just through my actions. What was it for you that like did it take kind of getting those receipts of being successful in sales to then say like it's time for me to really it's like that void Luis was talking about, like it's time for me to start looking outward beyond myself. Like what triggered that for you, Maddie? Was it a gradual journey of like hitting those milestones personally and professionally and then in sales and then starting to say like what's next, or how did that process like happen for you? Because I guess I'm just trying to figure out like I want to do everything you're doing. I want to do the charity, like I want to be more intentional with relationships and like put more focus on that, but I'm also like I need to get myself in order first. But I don't know, maybe it's more of like a balance of both of those things. So,
Yeah. Yeah, really, really insightful question. I think it's Jim Carrey that said this, but don't quote me. I wish everyone could be rich and famous so they
yeah.
know it's not all cracked up to be what it's all cracked up to be. And, Ian, my first 2 years in the program, I think my goal was, 150% quota and then top of the leaderboard. All I wanted to do was be the top person in my company. And we had, I think, 15 reps at the time. I achieved that pretty easily. I got it and then I felt empty. I was so empty after getting President's Club and got the trip to Hawaii and it was all great. And then I look back and I realized, well, you know what? My marriage was struggling. I wasn't being a great dad. I had some addictions I was dealing with, and like all this sales success didn't cure one piece of it. So I actually had to go back and just look at other things in my life. And like I said before, like I don't want to be remembered for being a top AE. I want to be remembered for being a great dad, a great husband, and just really digging in my community. And I'm still early on this journey too. I'm going to turn 43 in a month. I really just started this stuff in my 40s, my late 30s. So I'm jealous of some of you younger folks. I'm jealous of my son Jack, who's getting to start this journey at 8. But it's a journey. It doesn't matter when you start. But I think you're right. You got to start with yourself first. You can't help others until you heal yourself. So I think you're right where you need to be, focusing on yourself.
I want to add to this, Sheena. I get this question all the time. Do I need to have that success first before I can focus on other things? I need to prove to myself I can do it before I go and prioritize other areas of my life. And that was my journey. It was Maddie's journey too, right? It's like you almost need to find out for yourself that it's not the answer. You can hear Jim Carrey say it, but sure, it's easy to say because he has the wealth and the fame, and he realized that it was fleeting, it was empty. I kind of lean towards that. I wish it wasn't the case, but I feel like from coaching a lot of people, they need to experience that success and realize that it's not necessarily going to deliver what they're looking for first to then start to explore service and do the deep work inside of myself. That was my journey. I came to a point, and it was 2017, 2018, where I was the top rep at Salesforce. I was making $1 million a year. And I was more distant from my wife than ever before. I was struggling with addiction. I was living a double life. And that's when I, took a step back and like literally stopped everything, got in recovery, worked on myself, got into therapy, prioritized my marriage. And then that's where all the magic happened. But I had to like go down that road first of like winning at all costs to realize like, oh my God, I'm not a good person. I'm not necessarily, not to say I'm not a good person. That's the wrong words. I have been prioritizing the wrong things. I've been self-centered. That was what it took is making success the big focus first until I realized that I was I was burning down the things that mattered most in the path of trying to be successful. I wish I could just tell you you don't have to go down that path, but I think everyone has their own journey, and you'll have to pursue. If you're being called right now to like pursue success and prove you can do it and be the best seller you can be and prove that that's your path, that's your journey. You kind of have to follow that calling. So I think people need to find out for themselves. And then once you feel that pain, then you can reprioritize. That's the thing. Like we get what we want, we feel pain, and then we reprioritize. And then we get what we want, we feel pain, we reprioritize. And that's the path of life, is like finding yourself and finding what really does fill your cup. And I'm still on that path right now. I promise you, this is everything I dreamed of, and I still feel pain because it's so intense. And I need to I'm in the process of rethinking our business model. So I'm not as dependent on me, where it's so intense that I can't be there for my family in the capacity that Matty is now. And it's literally the work I'm doing right now. I'm redoing my mission statement today. So it's like constant. It's constant. And that's what he's doing his fourth year in the program.
And someone's always going to be further down the path than you are. Don't beat yourself up about it. Like I'm the newbie in this men's group, and the deep spirituality that some of the men have in this group, I'm like, wow, I wonder if I'm ever going to get there. But knowing that they've gone down this path, it just gives you good mentors and good people to look after. In Colorado, we have these giant mountains called 14ers, and they're hard to hike. They can take 8 to 10 hours. You want to give up, and you see people going on these switchbacks all the way up. They look like they're 10 hours ahead of you, but you see them moving and you keep following them. And that's kind of metaphor I've used for my personal development. You know, I came into it later in life and there's people further ahead of me, but I'm right where I'm supposed to be, right where I am at this point in my life.
That's right. Trust. That's that trust. Trust that you're exactly where you need to be. And that later on you'll see it, even if it feels hard right now. It's exactly where you're meant to be. Let's take Lily and then Andy.
Yeah, hi, Maddie.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being so vulnerable with all of us. It's really been amazing to hear your journey.
Mhm.
So I want to say that my question is a bit more tactical, but I'm curious what gave you the confidence that this early stage role you took was the right next step for you. Maybe what signals or criteria was mattering most in your evaluation?
Yeah, great question. So, like many of you probably, I worked for two companies that I really loved and could see myself working there for the rest of my life, but they both got bought out by private equity. It changed, night and day, from my role to expectations to how we treated our customers to really how I spent my day and my values. And I decided that I wanted a seat at the table. I knew that I brought a lot to my team and to the industry, and just having a good reputation, and I was willing to bet on myself. And I could have gone in a lot of different directions. I honestly thought about, reaching out to the people in this group and, going down like a Salesforce route or one of the larger companies that we work with. But I've been in this space for like 7 years, and I built a niche for myself, and I built a good reputation. And I decided I just had to double down. So is it scary? Is it Wild West? Yeah. There's things that happen like day to day that I'm like, whoa, this would have never happened before. And a lot of times I try not to be too much like, well, we did it this way at my old company. I never try to be like that, but I'll bring an idea to the table and they'll be like, great, you should create that. So it's giving me the opportunity to put some stuff in place. You know, 3 weeks into this job, the CEO invited me onto a call. I didn't know the product at all, and I just went back to what I've learned in this program, managing a sales process. And we're about to close this deal. The company is not only, it's going to be like a three or $400,000 deal, which will be one of the bigger ones this company has done. Not only do they want to buy our product, but they said they want to invest in us. So taking the sales skills from Untap and putting it in place is actually going to help my company get a Series B investment, which is going to change the lives of a lot of my teammates. And my CEO was like, that is the best sales process I've ever seen run. And it was literally taking the fundamentals I've learned. Executive communication, yo-yo selling has been a huge part. Um, so yeah, I did a lot of work. A lot of people approached me over the last couple of years. I actually just went to a conference last week and had several people say, do you want to come join our company? I'm like, I cannot make a switch. I'm very dedicated to this company, but I've reached the point in my career where I want to make an impact on a company. I want to help a small company grow, and it's a risk for sure, but it's not boring, and it's been a really good move for me.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Love it. Let's take Andy next.
You might have hit on this before, Matty, so apologies if it's redundant, but what are some of the things that are coming to you from a like a mental health perspective while you're running and training and trying to achieve this goal? Like are there things about your life and spirituality and work that are coming like to your thought process during that time? And sorry, I missed the first couple minutes of your talk, so apologies.
Yeah, no worries. Good to see you again, Andy.
You
Uh,
too.
I think it's just becoming the best version of myself. And for those of you that have kids, you want to be the best version of yourself for your kids. And I didn't always feel that way until I had kids and until they were old enough to look up at me and I could be a role model for them. So running is a very meditative thing for me. People kind of wonder how I can do it, but it's just I get in this mindset and I just keep going and keep going.
Mhm.
It's mentally hard, running these miles. It's not easy. Doing these training runs where you have to bring water with you or plan your run around finding a public water fountain, like it's not easy. And I know that like if I can do that type of stuff, that I can do anything. I was kind of the fat kid in high school. I played three sports and I played college soccer, but I've always kind of been the fat kid. So being able to like run a marathon and prove people wrong and prove myself wrong was a lot of my motivation.
That's cool. Yeah, much appreciated. You no longer present yourself as the fat kid, I can tell you that.
Thanks. That's a battle I still fight. So,
Hmm. Take Frank.
hey Frank, how you doing,
Hey,
bro?
Matty, what's going on, brother? Good
What's
to
up,
see you,
Big
man.
Frank?
I joined a little late too. Apologies. So I'm looking forward to listening to the recording. But just to kind of piggyback off of what Andy was saying and what you were saying, as far as you want to be the best version of yourself, and I think everyone on this call and in this group wants to be the best version of themselves and be successful in sales at the same. While that happens, my question really is, how do you block out the negativity?
Oof.
Because I'm not saying anything new here. There's so much negativity going on in the world. And it's not even just if you go on the news. Like, I feel that people in my circles are just constantly negative. Talk about the scarcity mindset. That's like all it is scarcity mindset. And I guess my question to you is, how have you been able to successfully, block that out and just be able to stay, control what you can control and have that mindset, even if people who are very close to you have that negative outlook on job, life, everything.
Ooh. Well, that's the work, isn't it, Frank?
Yeah,
Like that's the
yeah,
daily work. Those negative thoughts come in every day, to be honest with you.
yeah.
It's about not letting them control you and just kind of moving through. Meditation, it's something that I picked up in the program. I don't know that we necessarily talk about it, on a daily basis, but at some of the retreats we've done it, meditation has been really big for me. And I've always struggled with gratitude through my entire life, but developing a gratitude practice. I got a gratitude journal that, I don't do it every day, but like when I'm having rough days, I'll jump in and my wife and I will do it. Hopefully we get up before the kids and can have a cup of coffee and kind of start our day that way. She's been a big inspiration for me. She's a yoga teacher and one of the most positive people in my life. So she kind of keeps me grounded and like if I'm getting into that negative space, she kind of pokes me a little bit and makes me come out of it. I'd also add too, like for those of you that are working remote, it's tough, right? We're on our own, we're kind of in our own little bubbles and we can kind of get into that negative mindset. But like finding a group like this, whether it's, your church group, your sales group, you know, just getting those people that help you believe in yourself. And then, I sometimes think back when I, my real estate career fell apart. I moved across the country. I was basically bartending. I went from Wall Street to bartending. My parents are like, "What is this guy doing? Like, what's going on with his life?" And I try and put myself back in that position and realizing that that person would be so proud of the person that I am today and like our former selves if they had known like the commissions we get and the checks we get and the life we get to live. Like there's a lot of people going through really, really big struggles in the world right now. We know there's a ton of political struggles and there's wars going on, and just kind of like it's easier said than done, but being like, man, like I get to wake up, I get to go into my nice house and my nice office, I get to talk to people online, and I get to make a good living doing it, just trying to keep things into perspective. But if I
For
told you
sure.
that the negative thoughts weren't there, I'd be lying, man. It's just trying to work through them every day, knowing that it's just a thought, it's just a moment that you can work through it.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah, my pleasure.
It's you got to feel the feelings too.
Yeah.
You got to feel the feelings, you guys. You can't just push them down. I mean, there's something there. Sometimes you feel it, you let it out, and things feel better just for processing, talking through it. Like, not, we have such a negative view of negative emotions, but actually, that you need it. You can't just stay positive. If it's coming up for a reason. It's feedback. It's something.
Well, you can't have you can't have the good times without the bad. If it's all good times, you never experience negative times, and it's all the same. So
Mhm.
I think like I've had some of my biggest accomplishments after my
Yeah.
biggest failures.
This morning, yesterday was a hard day. It was a super hard day for me. Um, we had our back to school night with my son, and um, it was visible how behind he was. And they did a mood chart, and you put your mood. Green is good, yellow is like, I'm doing okay, and blue is like really sad. And my son told me every day he's blue, and it broke my heart. And we love him. We've poured love ever since he's been born. But a lot of it's genetic set point. He is on the autism spectrum. They struggle with depression. It's not his fault. And when you feel helpless, sometimes those negative emotions kick in. And I have to remind myself to be loving and to show him love and to show him compassion and to model that and to be appreciative. And and there's just going to be things in life around us that we can't control that are sad, but it's feedback. And it's like that just doubled down my commitment. And I've been feeling it all year. Maddie alluded to it earlier of like the need for being more involved, even though I only work 35 hours a week now. It's like still not enough. And it's like God is calling me to pour everything I know into helping my son live a happy life and have the tools to be able to cope effectively in this world. And it's like, who better, right? So I think you got to feel the feelings. You got to make the adjustments to take control of what you can control. And you have to trust that everything is happening for you and for a greater purpose. And I think there's a lot of relief in that.
Well, you've said it before, let go and let God. Whoever your God is.
That's right. I think it's a good way to end the call. This is beautiful, Maddie. Maddie, you really we went in a different direction, but I'm so glad we did. I'm so glad that we touched upon family and spirituality and purpose and negativity. And I mean, these calls continue to inspire me. And my mood has just, I feel so much gratitude and love right now versus what I was feeling this morning, which was more sad and helpless. And thank you for bringing that. It's exactly the medicine that I needed. And I'm sure a lot of people can attest just based on the comments and the feedback. This is really, I hope this is very powerful, inspiring, humbling for you guys to hear as much as it was for me to hear. So thank you for the work you're doing with your family. Thank you for the work that you're doing in your community and for sharing your story. And I think a lot more people need to hear it. So thank you for being you, brother. Appreciate you so much.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been an amazing ride with this community. I'm so excited for another year. Please don't be a stranger. Reach out to me if you need anything. I'd be happy to help in any way, and looking forward to getting to know everyone even better in this next year.
All right, you guys, have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Bye
Take
bye.
care.